This is Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, and Mutant Football League saying you're watching video game bullshit. Ta-boom!
Hi, this is Eugene Jarvis, and welcome to Video Game Bullshit!
Welcome to episode 126 of Video Game Bullshit. Boom. Season 6 begins. The bullshit lives.
Yes. New season.
Yeah, new season. And, just like back in the day, we would do a fine 25 episode season. And I called season 5 a new beginning, which is a Jason reference. And now bullshit lives.
Yeah, we were discussing which one's going to be bullshit in space, bullshit X, and maybe
Bullshit
far
takes
off.
Manhattan.
Yeah, see, and I was telling Jeff, I've never actually seen a Friday the 13th movie, so
Shame.
I know. I'm sorry. It's one of the shameful things about me.
No, don't worry. We'll have to do a bunch of marathons. I'm on in the background.
Next Friday the 13th. When is the next Friday the 13th?
We'll just do it the next convention that we're hanging out at. If we do another one of those Portland style Airbnbs, we'll just have Jason in the background.
There you go.
On
there
loop.
you go.
Constantly. Freaking craziness, man. So what have you been up to, Tristan?
Oh, I sound like a broken record at this point, but I have something physical to show for it. I've got both the PlayStation 3 and the Nintendo DS done. Although I say done, but a good buddy of mine who's a pretty big collector, he's looking over some of the libraries for me. And the PlayStation 3, I had a whole lot of trouble with. I'm not going to lie. So I need several sets of eyes on that one. But I missed a lot of stuff in that. So far from done on PlayStation 3.
And you probably have to insert and adjust the.
Oh yeah. And I complete these libraries and go into it knowing that I'm going to have to shift everything, and inevitably things are missed. So I'm just doing the best I can. I'm only one guy.
Wow, it's wild. and some guy might have given you a bunch of feedback on a completed Nintendo guy.
Correct. Yep. There's always room for improvements.
It's never ending. Then you just got to figure out when you want to put the bow on it so you can.
That's right.
Forward.
Yeah.
So that's all you've been up to?
More or less. Yeah. It's all I've been up to. And then I've been hunting for someone's care package to send to them. So putting that together. Just, getting ready for Christmas. All that good stuff. Oh, I did meet with my academic advisor for school. I'm going back to school for graphic design. And one of the things that was kind of up in the air is, so I've already got a bachelor's degree. It's in business information systems. It's completely outside of, graphic design. But, with any degree program, undergrad degree or what have you, you have to take general ed, right?
Yeah.
You have to take English and math and all those other things. It's no different across the board. Well, UNO, University of Nebraska, Omaha, is wanting me to take an English and a math placement test so that I can see what English and math courses they want me to take. And I'm like, time out there. I've already done this. I clept them. I mean, I tested out of this stuff like over 15 years ago. So I'm not all about, having to do this stuff over again. So my advisor's looking into that to see if it still qualifies, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
just when you talk to him, just go, "Do you know who I am?"
Yeah, basically.
Like I'm a published
author. Do you know who I am?
A published author. I'm Tristan.
Can I talk to your manager?
Like, do you know? Yeah, see, mine's simpler, man. Like, we just went and hunted down a Christmas tree out in Hawaii. Like, that's what I did. Like, we went Christmas tree shopping.
And where mine went.
I can't remember what I told you, but it was like a Norfolk pine is what my wife wanted.
Yeah. And where my mind went, I'm like, I immediately think, Jeff's on the side of the road chopping down like a palm tree to like drag into his house.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I pictured anyway.
Yeah. Now they have a lot of Christmas tree farms out here and stuff where it's just like these little nice little skinny pines that my wife wanted. So went out and hunted that. We went over and went towards a bunch of different hunting down of just like thrifting yesterday, hunting down trees.
Yeah.
Found some cool stuff. I did find an item that I'm going to use for Secret Santa. Because we got a couple listeners that reached out to want to do Secret Santa. So I figured I got something that somebody's been looking for, and I thought it was pretty cool. So I'll have to take some pictures before I send it out. That way, when he gets it, I can like show it off on the podcast for a picture.
That's awesome.
On what we did.
Can't wait. You'll have to tell me what it is off the podcast so he doesn't find out.
Exactly.
Doesn't find out.
I don't want them to figure it out. So the only thing that I got in, well, I got a couple things in this weekend, but the only thing I have up here that I got in, because I got in that I didn't bring upstairs so far, is I got some bitmap books, giant books. I got a horror one, and I got one on RPGs. And then I got one more, which is on first-person shooters. They're all pretty cool. Bitmap books is cool. Little chaotic in their layouts, though. Like I was talking with you offline, and I'm like, okay, so it's called like From Ants to Zombies. So I'm like, oh, cool. It's gonna be like A, B, C horror games throughout the book. And no, it's just games throughout the entire book, hundreds and hundreds of pages of games, and then you have to like go to the back to see the alphabetized list and then jump all around. And I was like, man, that would have been cool to have a A through Z like horror tome.
Yeah, seriously.
So
and
always room for us to do something.
Yeah, absolutely. And that it's confusing when you come across something that looks so good and is so polished from the outside, and then you go on the inside, it's just chaos. What happened?
Chaos. Yeah. And I mean, and it's very like smaller write-ups. Almost like where my complete series is, where I write like little blippets on them. It's like little blippets on each game too. It's not like in-depth or stories or so. Interesting. Very interesting. So the one item that I did get, which came from Really Rad Weekend, it was a CIB NES game that they were selling there. And it is this game right here, Christmas Land.
Hey,
for the NES, and it has a little monkey on the front. It is a platform game, Mr. May Munshine.
May Munshines.
That's the guy. Very interesting. And it actually is created by Cal Games, who also did Bobby 6-7. That
cool.
So. Pretty cool. I know I saw it online that he was selling it at Really Rad Weekend, and Scott on Premium's team was already there, so I had him pick me up a copy, and he mailed it over to me. So that was pretty badass. So that's the one thing that I got in the mail this week. That's it. And there's one other item I got, but that's a topic that we're going to talk about today, because on the episode we're going to talk about our bullshit homework. Save me, Mr. Tako. We're going to talk about the worst games of 2023, which will be fun, and the item that I got in, which is an arcade 1-up that my wife bought. But also, like, what are our thoughts on arcade 1-up? Do we like them? And personally, I do not, yet I own one. And so that'll be interesting to talk about, like, why this is the exception and what makes an exception. Why is it cool? Why is it not cool? All that stuff. But until then, we do have some project updates, Tristan. Project updates.
Boom. So, how's the Metroidvania Chronicles coming along?
So, as of yesterday, we finally have the art for the limited edition slipcase. And it was revealed that well-known hand-drawn hint was Phil Summers of the Hand Drawn Game Guides did my slip cover. He did a tribute.
Awesome.
He did a tribute based on a classic Capcom piece that had all the different characters on it. So he did it as a Metroidvania, and all the characters are like moving to the side, and it has all the characters that are within the game. Like, sick. Such a fun piece there. But anyways, posted a big update. So that way everybody that we wanted to reveal it to, I think a lot of people were waiting to see what the artwork was. Ooh, you're getting pinged now.
Yeah, sorry.
Metroidvania Chronicles.
Muting.
People are excited. People are excited for the Metroidvania Chronicles and Tristan's world. But I think people were waiting to see what the art was. So it's been pretty much exploding with excitement now. And once Phil posted that he was involved, people were super excited, which is awesome. I love to see people, loving the what we're doing and supporting authors and artists and all the fun stuff.
Well, yeah, and his stuff is so amazing, and there's so little of it so far that's officially out there. He did his Kickstarter, which he got cold feet about. He did put those PDFs out there for people to download, but it was never printed. So he's got his hand-drawn game guide magazines that he did a little bit on Patreon, and then he's got our Cathedral mini guide, and then he's got your cover, and then he's probably done a few other things that I'm not aware of. But
he did a map for a game that was like on the back of a card or something. He did this awesome looking map thing for one game. That's
but mark my words, this guy, he's so talented, and he's got such a knack for doing video game stuff. His stuff is going to be out there. He's going to have a lot of it out there too. So certainly do not sleep on anything that he makes, because it's going to get more and more difficult to get, his early stuff, which is now, including your slipcase.
Yeah. And I mean, some, backers had asked me if I would make the slipcase available without doing the contribution. So I did create an add-on, but it has to be the book and the slipcase, because I can't do the slipcase by itself, because if somebody got, like, for example, the digital and then added on the slipcase, there'd be no book, and it's not getting assembled like that. So I had to do like the book and the slipcase together. So I did create that though. So that does exist on there as well. So people can add on an extra slipcase. I think it's limited to about 100 copies total. So, and it's more than halfway sold out already.
That's awesome.
Fun one.
Yeah. Every once in a while I've been peeking at your Kickstarter to see how it's doing, and it's doing well.
It's doing awesome. And I don't really go off the amount. I go off the amount of backers. Because the amount of backers is like, it's getting close to the Switch collector at this point, because the
very cool.
When I'm doing a book of zine, it's a smaller page count, so it's more affordable. So the monetary amount is less important than how many people are digging what we're doing, which is awesome. And I know you're finishing up your book, as you alluded to, and I think you're in the last couple games.
I am. I'm on the last couple of consoles. All I have left now, and I say that I'm going to be done, but once I'm done with all of the consoles, then I go and I recheck everything. So, right now
You're
I've
almost starting.
Yeah, I'm almost starting over again. So
no, you spend 95% of your time in the last 5%. You're almost in the last 5%, Tristan. You're almost there.
And it's a good time to be alive for me, because right now I haven't started school yet. I don't start school until January 22nd, so I can dedicate all this time to it. Yeah. Very, very, very fortunate to be able to be in a position to dedicate this sort of time to my book, but I feel blessed in that way. But I have the PlayStation Portable and PS Vita. That's it. Just those two. That's it. And then I go into hardcore double check mode. Yes, sir.
Yeah, when I was looking over the Nintendo book, I didn't look at it for games. I looked at it for quality.
Sure. And I mean, like, we haven't even talked about your notes, but some of the notes, and this is just going to be like inevitable. Some of them are blurry, but that's because it's so. And I never knew I was going to run into this problem. For example, GameCube. No, not GameCube. Game Boy Advance Turok. It's impossible. I could not even find a picture on like eBay of the front of that box. It's crazy. Like it's impossible to find any quality box art for some of these things. So I just had to do what I could.
Some of them I might have.
Yeah. And that's where I'm going to have to reach out to individuals and go to unconventional means to be able to replace some of the ugly. Yeah, exactly. Replace some of the ugly
hard
pictures
drive
that
I have not plugged into my computer right now. I have an archive of all imagery that I've gathered and taken pictures of over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
now,
out
I'm not saying
somewhere.
I have Turok, but I
sure,
may.
Yeah. But it's just surprising what games are out there that are scarce. Like it's not even rare games, but apparently they are rare enough that people just don't have the boxes for them. It's weird. It's really weird.
Weird and wild.
Wild stuff.
Weird and wild stuff. Yeah, and I mean, there's a bunch of rabbit holes that you can go down. Like I was checking your Nintendo, and then I was like, oh crap, he has Mermaids of Atlantis, and I was like, oh, that I think is a non-released, unlicensed game. And then I did the whole rabbit hole, and it was Fates of Atlantis. That was the unreleased one that I have a copy of because
Gotcha.
I know the member on Nintendo H who got all of the unreleased Code or Color Dreams games and then released them on Nintendo H CIB classic style. And so I have all of those releases, but I was just making sure you didn't include that in the book because then it's unattainium essentially. But
yeah, and that may happen. I'm going to put out these 4 volumes, and they are not going to be without fault. I will put that out there right now. I'm going to do my damnedest to make sure that I don't make as many mistakes as I think I'm going to make. But
it'll be as good as it'll be.
Yeah. I'm going to, and if anyone out there thinks that they could do a better job, be my guest. That's what I'll put out there too. If you think you can do a better job, I'm right behind. I will help you every step of the way. Just know it's gonna take
in like 30 years, I'll do it better when I do every single console individually in 600 page volumes each console instead of like one 600-page book. They're all because that's my complete series is just I'm just doing the ones that are interested to me. But
I'll buy your Gizmondo book whenever you come out with it.
I mean, I did a Virtual Boy book just on the April Fool's joke, so it's not beyond me to do crazy shit.
Yeah, like, I bought that thing before I knew you.
That book is awesome. I love that book. It turned out so cool. That's probably so
pretty
fun.
Cool.
That's a fun one. I'm still working on Complete Genesis. I am in the S's now, writing reviews. So I got through the R's over the last week, which was pretty cool. Writing about Saturday Night Slam Masters last night.
Hell yeah! Hey, quick question about your Virtual Boy book. When you sent it to the printer, did they say to you like, "Do you know how much red ink this is going to take?"
Black ink, you mean? Yeah,
black and red ink.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
like that's all it is.
Yeah. They it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I wanted to do it once. I wanted to make it stupid. I remember there was one backer that thought I was joking. They're like, please don't tell me you're doing it like that. I'm like, of course I am. It's the Virtual Boy. You have to do it like that. Like, why would I not do it like that? And then the other project that I finished and I'm in with the printer now is Twisted Reality's Black Box Challenge. I finished it this weekend. I ended up I reread everything throughout it's almost 300 pages. It's 296 pages as a pocket, a little small Worlds of Power book. Probably the biggest Worlds of Power book ever created. But I ended up writing it as a narrative. I posted an update to backers in the Black Box Challenge, the old Kickstarter. It's taken years to write it. But when I decided to go narrative, took a little more time. There's over 50 individual hand-drawn pictures in the book from Mickey Ivey, another artist. And then she did the cover. So I revealed the cover as well as talked about updates and way ahead. So essentially, going to the printer now, still going to take 3 to 4 months. So in the spring is when I'm estimating that it'll be available for shipping. And then I'm going to reach out individually to every single backer to make sure that their addresses haven't changed. Because what happens in Kickstarters after a certain amount of time, you can no longer edit and update things and do like backer reports and stuff. So I have to individually email every single person. But it's been a long time. So some people have moved. I mean, heck, I've moved twice since then. So I mean, it's a thing. It's a really fun book, though. I'm glad I read through it, though, because there was one whole chapter that I had copy and pasted that I had to rewrite. And then there was a few things where just some of the verbiage didn't make sense as I reread it again. So now it's all flawless, all good. But yeah, checking things 2, 3, 4 times is super important with these books.
Have to. Because I mean, you get done with these things and you're excited that you're done, and you get this false sense of security that it's like, all right, good to go. Let's send it to the printer. Nope. Far from done.
No. And like I'll go through multiple times and like zoom in and then just go slowly through the whole thing, hundreds and hundreds of pages, and just checking out all the imagery and everything else. And because I'm still working on Switch Year 3 as well, and I'm going through that little by little because it's all the research heavy portion that I'm doing on it right now. And then after I finish all of that for the whole book, then I have to go through and check the validity of the images and make sure everything looks good, because sometimes stuff gets linked bad or it's just I got to make sure it all looks as good as we possibly can make them. But that's the projects right now, man.
Well, yeah, and then even if you do have it correct, then you send it to the printer, and then somehow they double up the first page and forget. I'm alluding to the mini guide for Eagle Island.
Nobody would know if you didn't tell them, Tristan.
I know. I'm like looking forward to I'm like, oh man, this is gonna look so good. I'm like, what? Why are there 2 front pages? Like, there's another page missing. Sweet. Yeah, I would love to know what happened there.
Well, it might just be your copy and not everyone's copy.
No, so far it's everyone's.
Yeah, so far 2 of 2. But there's
2 out of 2. Well, 3 out of 3, folks.
But there's 1,000 copies that were made. So out of those 1,000 copies,
who knows how many batch were in a batch or whatever. But
exactly.
I mean, whatever.
I mean that team member ones are definitely the same batch, but
yeah.
Like, I mean, I could open up mine live and show you mine doesn't have an error, and then you just be mad. So,
yeah,
because mine doesn't have the error. I bet it doesn't.
Such crap. Oh well.
You have a variant if you have the error one.
Yeah. It's rare. You should send it to CGC.
Yeah, you should send your copy in, bag it, box it, board it,
get it graded,
toss it. You should, man, and like have it open so it's the double one. That'd be funny. Jeez. Yeah, that's the thing though. Production happens, man.
Yeah,
it's craziness.
So, my next book after this one, I talked about it a little bit on last podcast, I think it was, or either that or it was 124. I don't know. It's all a blur. On console launches. Now, what video game console launches have you ever stood in line for a console launch? I'll ask you that.
Yes, lots of them.
Lots of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
the first one would be the Nintendo 64.
Okay.
And more so not standing in line, but getting a copy because they didn't do line pre-orders out in my area, and getting like the last copy in the whole area at a Toys R Us that was like behind a wall somewhere, and they were able to I'm like, well, what about that one? And I look back behind the thing, and there's like one there, and I was able to get it. And my sister bought it for me for my birthday with Mario 64.
Heck yeah.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, that's how I got my 64. That was on launch day going in, because you couldn't pre-order that like back then, not easily at least.
Yeah.
And like going launch and picking it up. That was a fun one.
The first one I ever stood in line for was the PSP.
Okay.
Yeah, which was a little later on, like what, 2004, 5-ish, 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I never got any at launch, like, growing up.
Well, it could
Sorry.
be launch window to make stories though, which is
True.
fun.
Oh yeah,
'Cause,
yeah.
like,
Well, I mean, I don't want to just talk to people that were in line. I want to know the struggle. The
yeah,
struggle you had of getting one. Like when I was struggling to get a Nintendo Wii when it came out.
that's what I
Man.
was about to say is the Nintendo Wii was a pain in the ass. And for
Yeah.
me, I had just gotten out to Germany. And so, like, for me, it was near impossible to find. And then, so
Hmm.
again, my sister went around Indiana and she found like one of the last ones that she found in a store and then shipped it out to me to Germany so
That's
I could
crazy.
play it and we could play drunk Wii bowling for fun.
I found one in your R&R spot, Al-Udeid Air Base Qatar.
Ah,
Yeah, I just got off work, like 12-hour shift. Went to the AFIS Exchange, and they were restocking the electronics aisle, and there were 2 Wii's sitting in the guy's like shopping cart. I'm like, can I have that? Can I buy that? So yeah, go ahead. Yes. And this was like right before I deployed. I was trying to get one, but yeah, I was like at Shopco. And we knew that the UPS truck was showing up, but we didn't know how many Wii's were on the truck. So I was third in line, and guess how many showed up on the truck?
2.
2 Wii's. Yeah.
Yeah. So you did not get yours.
I did not that day. I did not get one that day. But when I got it while we were deployed, man, we played the crap out of Wii Sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, like, and I'm thinking about it too. Like, there's another console that I got at launch. And it was the NES 2.
Mm.
So when they released the small form top
Mm-hmm.
loader with the dog bone controller, I
Yeah.
had actually gotten that for Christmas from my grandma who got it for me because I was just looking to get something because, the blinking red light of Doom was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And, we didn't have thorough console cleaners back then like we do now where it's like easier to clean, nor did I know the techniques. So like I just had a really dirty ass console. But now, taking it apart and cleaning it thoroughly, like we didn't do that back in the day. So,
Yeah.
I ended up I think I was on my second console at that point, but then, the Super Nintendo's coming out, but I got my $100 boxed Nintendo 2,
Very nice.
which is cool. Top loader fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I told you I was talking to 8-Bit Steve a little bit today, but and his thing is 8-Bit Nintendo, obviously.
And doing the easy way guides where you can like beat Friday
Correct.
13th the easy way, which I think I still have a dozen copies left on my website, HagensLA.com.
We were wondering about that, like how many of those copies we had in stock still. So that answers that question. Got a dozen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't know that he had done Jaws guide, so I'm definitely picking that up. Like I love Jaws on NES.
Now,
People,
all of his that aren't Friday the 13th are little hand printed mini magazines. They're like little like on his own printer type of deal. Yeah. Yeah, so they're definitely a different type, whereas Friday the 13th is the crazy high quality print.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he just went
yeah.
for simplism going forward.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's whatever, but the passion's there. That's all that matters.
Exactly.
But yeah, he's going to do a little anecdote about the NES launch. I just thought it'd be appropriate to have him do that. And I was going to ask you which one you want to do, assuming that you will do one.
Yeah. I'll talk about a few of them, whatever. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be awesome. Yeah, it's the book projects are fun. I got a couple others in the future, but like I'm gonna focus on Switch Year 3 and Genesis, and before I move on, like those are the couple I got to put a bow on before I start committing to the next ones. And of course, in between this, Premium's got some design work that needs done. So we're gonna be jumping down that rabbit hole very shortly.
very shortly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a little bit of a, Black Friday sales time for premium, which has been pretty crazy. I think they're doing a push for the last few Bobby 6-7 silver editions that are available. It's like maybe a dozen left, so there's not many left.
And they don't plan on doing another run of those, so those are actually limited.
Yeah, we don't do any extra silvers at like any of the ones that we've done so far, or Body, Oratorio. We have not done any extras beyond the initial run of them.
Yeah.
And it's all silver foil and craziness, which is different from
they actually look really good.
Exactly. I don't know if they're going to do the crimped premium logo like I did on the first iteration, but I have the crimper, so it's up to them.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. Love it.
Yeah, buddy.
So the first topic that we were going to talk about was the arcade 1-up and thoughts on the arcade 1-up. So, the arcade 1-up, for those that have been living in a hole in the ground, are, all of these affordable arcade machines that you can buy for your home. After my experience, because as I mentioned, Andrea bought one with the Black Friday sale. I call it the IKEA of arcades. You got all this, cheaper wood with this instructions to put it all together. So you have to put together an arcade essentially with LCD panels and, essentially a limited amount of games in this little tight constructed operating system. So what are your thoughts on the arcade 1-ups, Tristan? Because you and I have never talked about these, and I alluded to it so that way you could form some opinions and get your head ready before we talk live. But this is live. I don't even know.
Yeah, so you did allude to, sort of what you were thinking and your opinions of it. And I think we're going to kind of line up on our opinions because I'm generally not for them, especially for my game room, which I don't have a whole lot of real estate left. So I'm not going to buy anything arcade 1-up to take up that space. There would be a few exceptions, maybe.
Yeah.
And I mean, so my friend Eric,
living in the coffin.
Yeah, exactly. Eric Coffin. What does he go by?
GI Gamer.
GI Gamer 1981. Jeez, my brain just locked up. It seized up for a second there, man. I'm getting old. I'm telling you, I'm getting old.
Got to get a little bit of WD-40 and go.
I swear, dude. Maybe just a swig of Ghost here.
There you go. I finished my coffee now, so now I'm heart exploding mode.
Yeah. So he has a lot of arcade 1-ups down in his basement, and it looks great. Don't get me wrong; it's awesome. Like, it looks great. He's got a Turtles one, but he's got young kids too, and they enjoy the hell out of them. So take that into consideration as well. Their friends come over. And it's a treat for them to come down there. And he says, whatever arcade's on, they'll turn on. He's got black lights all around it. And it looks really good. He curated it really, really well. So he's got Turtles. He's got similar to the cocktail one you have, but he's got Street Fighter 2.
Spoiling stuff, Tristan. I haven't even talked about what I have.
I mean, the thing that you don't have. Tristan. I'm sorry. My bad.
Hey, okay, let me tell my story before you start. Before you start spoiling my stuff, let me talk about mine. So, as I mentioned, I'm not a big fan of arcade 1-up. However, where my wife was able to sell me on it was getting something that doesn't exist in the arcades. Because I've had arcade machines.
Yeah.
I've had a Versus Super Mario Brothers arcade, like the full one from Nintendo. I've had multiple kiosks over the years. And when I was in Indiana, back when I was, when video game bullshit, right before video game bullshit started, I had a Mortal Kombat 2 arcade, the full arcade. It was from a conversion kit, though, of a Bubbles, which was crazy. But this is what my wife got off of the Black Friday sale, which is downstairs. So this is a Mortal Kombat 2 cocktail. It has 12 games on it, though. So there's a bunch of Midway arcade games on it. Now, for me, we don't need Mortal Kombat 2 to be perfect. We don't, and it has Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3 Ultimate on it. But it also has tubing, which my wife and I love playing tubing on there. She didn't know what Sinistar was, but I literally wore the shirt on Video Game Bullshit before. Sinistar's on it, Joust is on it, Defender's on it, Rip Ear Tapper. Like it's the best of like Midway. I mean, Rampage is on it. Like there's a lot of great games that are on this little 12-in-1. But to me, getting something like this that I can like pull up our little chairs to sit next to, we plug it in, we can tuck it away. That's where the Christmas tree is right now. Right now is where I took that picture, because now we've moved. And by the way, when we mentioned the Christmas tree, there is the Christmas tree for the YouTubers that showed like the branches on it. But it's, we can sit there, play it, push it to the side, and it's pretty cool. And now when I get to my final game room, we'll have that, which is a cocktail. I have a legit Nintendo Donkey Kong Jr. cocktail.
Nice.
And I have the Nintendo Red Tent. So I have 3 cocktails I have to figure out how I'm going to have people sit in front of.
Yeah.
That's the insane part. Because the other piece is I've done some research, and you can quote unquote hack the arcade 1-ups. And MAME does have a way to double screen, so you can play 2 players, because that's essentially what it does. It does like a double screen, so you play like versus each other. So it's like 2 mini half screens when you play Mortal Kombat 2. But you can do it with like 6,000 games on a build. So there's already a created build for a Retro Pie. So essentially you're replacing that thing with a Retro Pie. The logistics behind it, I have no clue. I don't know how to do any of the pieces for that. Somebody sells a kit for $400, which is more than I paid for the whole thing. Yeah, it's more than I paid for the whole thing. I don't need all the kit stuff. So I just got to figure out how to put in a Retro Pie into it eventually. Or we just enjoy our 12 games and we're good. Because to me, I'm pretty good with it. There'd be a few arcade games that my wife would like in it, but like Burger Time, which I don't enjoy Burger Time. Just like we talked about Scoop Kick last week that I wasn't a big fan of. She likes Burger Time. I'm not a fan, but like I would add it to it for her. But it depends on how hard that stuff is, because it's 128 gigabyte image that you can get for the Pi. And I just want something that I can just like plug in and it works.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit more involved than that, but yeah, I get it. And
I think so.
Yeah, that's one thing that I hadn't considered, is the fact that the MK2 cocktail doesn't exist outside of Arcade 1-Up, which is a cool part of it.
My exception. Is anything that exists outside of what I could not buy in a traditional arcade. They also sell like a bar top versions of these too. Which I feel like the bar tops are kind of cool, but they're a little smaller. The one thing I do like about the cocktail though is that because like for me, the arcade 1-ups themselves, because they're miniaturized versions of the arcades, I'm already big and I'm sitting there next to somebody on an actual button elbows on the real Mortal Kombat. Now, arcade 1-up, we're like tiny squished in there. And I know you're not small either. So like we were no way in hell we could play a 4-player Ninja Turtles.
Absolutely not.
So the cocktail, you're sitting across from each other. So there's plenty of space. Like it's awesome. Like you got lots of space there. I'm gonna have to get like a lower sitting chair though, with a cushion or something. We have a couple ottomans that I'm gonna use for it. But like, yeah, it's pretty awesome thing, and it's actually well put together. It feels solid. The one weird thing, unlike my Donkey Kong Jr., there's a latch and you can pick it up to mess with the coin mechanisms and everything inside of it. The only way to get inside the arcade 1-up is to take out the 4 screws.
Completely take it apart, yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Screws strip out because they use crappy screws, because they did.
I know. Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you can't access your arcade 1-up inside of it.
Yeah.
So that's a weird thing. But yeah, I was doing that yesterday. I was doing arts and crafts time with arcade 1-up and balsa wood IKEA build arcade 1-up time.
I have also built one of those. So as a housewarming gift, Coffin had given me Final Fight arcade one up, and that was in my game room for a long, long time.
Awesome.
I actually, so every once in a while, and you probably got the same reaction whenever you had contractors coming over to your house. So you'd have like heating and air guy doing an inspection on your heater, or you'd have a plumber come downstairs and look at like your downstairs bathroom or whatever. Every single time this happens, I get the same reaction when they're walking through my game room. Holy crap, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And like if they're a gamer, especially, like they'll talk your ear off. And I love talking games. Love it. One guy in particular, he was just fawning over he'd never heard of Arcade 1-Up or anything like that. And we got to talking, and like, I needed to make room anyway. So I gave the guy the thing. Like, I mean, he was so appreciative
awesome.
about it. It was for his kid. Like it was his kid's like birthday or something like that coming up. I'm like, dude, this is yours. You can have it. Like, enjoy it. So, I mean, I enjoyed it while I had it, but like I said, like I need the space in my, like I've got a big office and it takes up a lot of space in my basement, but the rest of it is my game room where I have kiosks and a pinball machine and a couple arcade cabinets too. So I really don't have space for an arcade 1-Up at this point. And I didn't at that point too. Whenever it was a housewarming gift, I had all the space in the world. So it wasn't a problem then. I think they have their place, especially with games like The Simpsons, X-Men, and like anything that's like unobtainium, basically, like out of reach, especially X-Men. Think about X-Men having an X-Men cabinet, like being able to get that thing. I mean, obviously the arcade 1-Up isn't a 6-player machine, but still, like the Simpsons cabinet, even getting one today that's like original would be pretty expensive. I would imagine.
Probably. I mean,
so
my thing is though, is that, I mean, I will always go on my, go on my soapbox about that. I would never buy a 90s beat 'em up arcade cabinet, whether it's unattainium or not.
They're beat up.
No, because I would literally play Simpsons one time with infinite quarters and never touch it again because I'd beaten the game. It's not fun unless you're like having game nights every week and we're going to play Simpsons every week. And you're not going to. You're going to play it through one time. You're going to beat the game because there's no skill gap to it. You just keep on putting in quarters. Unless you do like your own personal challenge, which then again, it's like, okay, well, what are we doing here?
But yeah, like back in the 90s, you can't replicate that in a home arcade. Like you were saying, the quarters are what made, I mean, there was stake in the game. Like you had to be good and you're spending your money. Like, if you own the thing, you've got it on free play or you're spending your own quarters, which then you can just get back. So,
and that's what I like about this arcade 1-Up that my wife got, is that it's literally Mortal Kombat, which you can keep putting in to keep playing Mortal Kombat, but you still got to beat the guys. But also then you have stuff like Defender, which is not keep putting in quarters to play and beat. Like you have to go through. One game I wish it had on there, which it doesn't. I don't know if you've heard of Strike Force before.
No.
So essentially Strike Force is what I call the spiritual successor to Defender. It's much, much later. And it is a 90s style game where you could put in quarters to essentially keep beating it. But it's like you go to different planets and then you're playing the Defender thing and saving all the characters and everything, going from level to level to level. And you actually progress through the game. It's awesome as hell. That was one that I played at Galloping Ghost Arcade in Chicago.
Oh, very cool.
I played it with Kyle, and we are constant. Everything there's on free play anyways, and we played through and we beat the game at the arcade, which is awesome. But that's one though. But it took like a couple hours for us to like play through it. It was fun as hell. It has that midway charm, just like all the other pieces. But yeah, like. Those are the ones, though, the high score chasers, the Donkey Kongs, all pinball. Like you said, you have a pinball machine. Those are the ones that I would put in my game room because otherwise I'll just play it on a main machine whether that be on a handheld or on an emulator or something, and we can play our nostalgia one time on a big screen TV, and I'm good to go. Like, why waste vital space in your arcade for something you're going to play once a year, maybe?
I totally agree. Now, the other piece that I was going to say is then you have the arcade one-ups that have specialized controllers that you can't emulate through MAME, such as like Terminator 2, Star Wars Arcade. Those are the only two that come to mind. But
cockpit for Star Wars Arcade. It's just
no. Yeah, it's just the yoke or whatever.
Hey, I want the F-Zero AX full body tilt,
the full thing.
Around.
Oh, dude, I played that in Japan. That thing threw me out of the. It's like your seatbelted in, but you're still like.
I played it at Galloping Ghost Arcade. They had it.
Did you? Oh my gosh,
it's awesome.
That thing is intense, man.
I just think it's badass, but the thing is like that's the kind of stuff that is fun. Now one that I think I would want that is completely stupid. It's not expensive. I'd want Konami Track and Field, the original arcade, so I could hit the buttons real fast because you got to alternate the buttons, and that's when you put a pencil between two fingers and move it back and forth as fast as possible. It's fun as shit. Like I was playing the hell out of that at Galloping Ghost too. But that's when that arcade one up, like you beat the shit out of it. Like it'd be too thin to play that. But like that would be a fun one. But again, don't really need it. And I have the Famicom controller because on the Famicom in Japan, they created a Konami Track and Field with 2 buttons that you could use.
Yeah.
So it's a big ass button controller that I have. It's a 2-player that plugs into the auxiliary port of the Famicom, and you can play Konami Track and Field on your Famicom, just like the arcade. You can even do the pencil button flip.
Wow.
It's amazing. Yeah. Those are my classic favorites, like just the dumb track and field button pressers. But that's the kind of stuff that I really enjoy from an arcade perspective is chasing the high scores. Like my Donkey Kong Junior cocktail, I'm going to turn into a double DK once I retire and move into my final place. That way, because I want to play and get good at Donkey Kong. But also, I want to put Donkey Kong 2 on there. Which is the fan created one that's like a challenging version of Donkey Kong. That's a fun one to play. I don't know if you've ever played Donkey Kong 2. It's hard as shit.
No, I'll have to look that up.
It's hard as hell, the MAME version. Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that one's a character builder, man. I had that on my my CoinOps Xbox that I put in my MAME arcade, and I would play the hell out of it and could barely get through the first cycle of it. Yeah. It's hard as shit, man. But yeah, that's my thing with arcade one-ups though. 100% think they're cool. They're great if you're like a hobbyist collector. You're not like going super crazy, super hardcore, limited on space. But and on the other side too, like you do have to have a little bit of knowledge to have old school arcades. So the fact that it's on newer items or newer tech, it's easier to maintain, easier to fix. And it's also super affordable. Like this was like, I think $200 on sale. So that's my wife got it for like under 200 shipped.
So here's a hypothetical for you. What if somehow arcade went up, they make a deal with the devil and Nintendo actually gets on board and allows them to make a play choice or a versus? Would you be okay with that?
I'd be okay with it. It'd be the same deal where I would much rather have the original before having the new stuff. But I mean, again, for hobbyist collectors, for those that can't afford to get the crazy expensive shit, like I got my Red Tent in my storage, and I got it for $500 back in the day from a Nintendo Age member, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then I completely redid everything to make it stock. So I have a perfectly stock original versus cabinet with a Play Choice 10 conversion from Nintendo on it, because it actually has the sticker on it and the serial on the Play Choice 10 on the bottom where it has the extended tray and the extended riser feet. I have the whole thing. I have all the manuals. I have everything for it. So it's that is cool as hell. I love that thing. And I have all the Play Choice 10 games that I wanted to, including there was a community which I think still exists on Facebook that make Play Choice 10 cartridges, new ones. with games that weren't originally released, and I have a few of those.
Yeah. The seller sells them on eBay too. They're limited. Yeah, it's like the Legend of Zelda was never made on there, but you can find a Legend of Zelda Play Choice board, for example. And then like another one that I have in my Play Choice cabinet is Nintendo World Championship, 1990 Nintendo World Championship.
That's a fun one.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool to be able to just fire that up and
of course I have a Nintendo cartridge slot converter for my Play Choice 10, so I can play any Nintendo game. So the game that we played the most on it was Kevin Power and Too Many Games, the NES homebrew.
Kevin Power and Too Many Games.
You're literally in a car navigating through traffic as fast as possible, collecting different items. And London used to play the hell out of that when she was like 3,
nice,
4. And playing the hell out of Kevin Power. And we played it in the Play Choice 10. That's what we played it in. The other thing that I do have is there was a NES homebrew, an aftermarket release, that had a Play Choice 10 on it on Kickstarter. Hey. And I do have my copy of it. Micro Mages has a Play Choice 10 official. Yeah. And I have it. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's pretty cool to have an official release. I was going to do that back in the day with Black Box Challenge, but then the mapper was insane because it's not a traditional mapper 30. It's like a double mapper 30. The way he programmed the game was crazy. So he's 2 sides of the banks at the same, like it's a weird one that like not anybody can make a copy of that game. But I was going to do Play Choice 10 with it, but it couldn't be done. A normal homebrew can be done like that. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to have that one. I also have one that I had made of the Mad Wizard, which is a really fun. That game's awesome.
Cool.
That's a chill game to play. I love my Play Choice 10 stuff. Like, so if Nintendo did that and you could like switch out the cartridges, that'd
be sick. Yeah,
that might be cool. I don't see it ever happening, but that might be cool.
I'm sure we talk about it right now. I bet you someone made a kit or something. There's probably a arcade 1-up kit that exists out there that, because I know they have kits for like to turn your arcade 1-up into like a Sega Genesis or a Super Nintendo, complete with cartridge slot. Yeah,
that's crazy. That's crazy. That's cool though. I think that's awesome. Like I've seen like lots, like the one kit I saw for the cocktail, like it gives like wood grain and gives it a track ball and all the extra stuff, and you can put 6,000 MAME games on it, arcade games on it and stuff, which it's cool.
It's cool, and I mean, like, I don't know, I've had a MAME cabinet before. It's cool, but it's not the same as having something that's like original. It's just not.
Well, what I did was crazy though. So I had a Astro Fighter arcade that I had saved because we had a group called Retro Raiders in Indiana. And we went to a vending place that was falling apart, and we saved a bunch of arcade cabinets that were in a sealed locker. It was like a fridge, and they were in there. So everything else had pouring water on it. So it was like a graveyard of arcades and pinball. But we saved them. And so I had an Astro City that had nothing in it. I cleared out everything, cleaned it up, made sure there was no wood rot or none of that, and carved a piece there. And so what I did was I ended up putting an X Arcade tank stick in there with the actual trackball in the middle. I had a Sony PVM that I put into it. So I had a PVM in there. And then I had my Xbox coin ops running HDMI, or not HDMI, but the best quality SCART to it. And that thing was like badass. That was a badass MAME arcade. And when the Army moved me, I ended up selling that to a local game store. And that local game store went under like a couple years later and sold it to a local collector, which I know the collector who has it out in the Indiana area. But we sold that and my wife's Mortal Kombat 2 arcade to the same game store.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned X Arcade. Back when X Arcade was first a thing, I had a tank stick as well, but I actually bought their kit their arcade cabinet kit, X Arcade. So I had an X Arcade cabinet that was built to actually like slot in the tank stick. After a while, I took that out and then made my own control panel with a keyboard mapper, and made it look like a Neo Geo arcade stick, like control panel, complete with trackball. I replaced, so like the kit that they had, it was just supposed to accommodate like a CRT television, but I gutted that and then eventually got a 27-inch Wells Garner like arcade monitor, and like custom made some brackets in there, actually slotted it in. It looked perfect. But like the actual bones of that X Arcade cabinet were so IKEA flimsy that it didn't survive like 4 moves, we're military, like we move all the time, right?
That's why I sold my 2, because I could not afford to move them. And like, where's my, I'm over here in Hawaii, where's my red tent at? It's in storage at my last location, because I was not bringing it over the ocean.
No.
My Switch kiosk, my sharp Nintendo television, all my awesome gems, like none of that stuff is coming with me out here.
Sure.
Now something like a arcade 1-up, absolutely, we'll travel with that and survive as long as it does. There's a couple $100. It's cool. It's cool as shit. And we'll play it on a game night. Like we'll just hang out and have a good time.
Yeah,
it's well worth it for that. And that's where I think like arcade 1-up does have its place. For a a serious game room like in Tristan's house, I don't think it has a place.
And that's not to like be a snob about it or anything like that, but it just like I don't like any of the games that they make enough to take up the space. Like say if I liked Terminator 2 enough to play it on replay, and like you said, once you own the game, the replay value is really diminished because it's the same game over and over again.
Unless you're chasing a high score.
Exactly.
Well, and we've talked about the backlog in just a previous episode, and like our backlogs are insane. So is that going to be the one game I play for the rest of my life? Like, is that my game? If you were the Donkey Kong guy, having a Donkey Kong arcade would make sense. But like you're not going to be playing Donkey Kong only like for the rest of your life.
If you're a Simpsons collector and you get the Simpsons arcade 1-up, I totally get the merit in that.
So now I got one for you, Tristan. What if arcade 1-up created a Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm arcade?
100% on board. that'd be in the shot right here. I would replace that shelf with it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So there are ways that if they did some modernized arcade cabinets with newer indie titles or newer titles, like there would be some. That would be a badass arcade.
Because Theater Rhythm, that's a game that exists on consoles, but obviously that it's an arcade game too. So that would be badass.
So I mean, I could see that in your
I'm in no way a hardliner. No, I'm not ever going to have an arcade 1-up. But right now, it's just not attractive to me. I don't have kids, so I'm not going to It's not perfect for like my kids, because I don't my cats aren't going to sit here and play my arcade 1-ups.
Well, and London
I'd be very impressed if they would.
The arcade games when she was little, but now she's not going to play this arcade 1-up with us. That's Andrea and I are going to play it. And we're going to have fun with it. But my daughter, she's playing Roblox. She's doing it right now. She's playing Roblox online. Yeah. That's what she does. She doesn't play any of the old school stuff with us. She did put in some more Animal Crossing because they had some Sanrio skins that she got on the cards, but that's about it. That's about all she does. She ain't jumping down there. She does say she likes Mario Odyssey though, and Legend of Zelda. Likes to watch me play. Likes to watch me play is what she said.
Gotcha.
But, so that's my thing on arcade 1-up. Is there anything else we should talk about on this topic? I think that's a good one.
I think we pretty much boxed up our feelings on it, and we're justified in feeling that way. Honestly, we're not saying that absolutely not. It's just not for us in most cases.
I have mine that we have, and it's a cocktail that isn't available, that was never available at a normal
which
arcade.
is super cool.
And it is cool as shit. I like it. That's my exception. And I'm not getting rid of it. We're gonna keep it. It also might, replace, and we may not get a Mortal Kombat 2 arcade if my wife's good with this, and we just go toward the Foo Fighters pinball that I'm buying her still.
There you go.
Like, I mean, I'm cool with that. Like, and then I don't have to find 10-year removed Mortal Kombat 2 in another 10 years where it's even more decrepit and trying to get that thing up to work. I got a Mortal Kombat 2 sitting in my house right now.
Oh, nice.
I mean, it's right here. It's
I know exactly. Yeah, it's cool to say.
Downstairs.
Like,
I can literally.
And you said
right
that you got rid of your wife's, and she had a Mortal Kombat 2. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, that was the story. We had a Mortal Kombat 2 in my house. It was
I know. I mean,
Bubbles.
Oh, that's right. You did say that it was a conversion. I mean, but it was hers though. That's where it was tripping me up.
Yeah, and we sold it because I had a PCS and we didn't have the space on there because you have a weight allotment when you move in the army.
That's
right. In the army, so I did not have the weight allotment to move a bunch of arcades and kiosks, and that's when I also sold my Super Nintendo kiosk.
Yeah,
my giant Super Nintendo kiosk. I mean, it is what it is. Somebody got a badass Super Nintendo kiosk back in the day. Yeah, but is what it is, man. Is what it is.
Yes, sir.
So, what is the other topic we're going to talk about?
We were going to talk about
games of 2023. So, what was your idea behind this, Tristan? You pitched the idea.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about what
talking
games
about one
came
game, or are we talking about multiple games?
Just anything we can think of, really. Like what comes to mind immediately.
Well, because the games we the worst game.
Oh, whoops. Let me fix that real quick. Yeah, sorry, I didn't pick up what you're putting down.
The YouTubers will get it. That was on
update.
Audio.
Okay, worst games.
Games. Yeah, so you were
if I had to talk about a game, Metacritic for 2023, and I planned on doing this live, but
I don't know what games we're talking about here. Because I was like, Tristan, you got to do the research and the other piece is like, we talked about the backlog. We talked about how we play games. So we're backlogged on the games that we want to play. So am I going to pick up anything that is an unknown? Typically not. But then there are games that we have caught and that we have played in season 5 video game bullshit that weren't that great. So we're talking Mystery, the Ruins of Disney. No.
Not good. Well, the one that comes to mind, and it got a whole lot of hate, and actually ended up getting the development team in trouble and fired. Ooh. Really, Gollum, Lord of the Rings, Gollum.
So that was released in 2023, huh?
It was.
It was so long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. So Gollum is what? It's like an action adventure game. It's based on Lord of the Rings, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? So what is it? What is the type of game? Is it like?
So it's like an action adventure. Like it's not open world. It's very linear, but it follows obviously the story of Gollum, and like what happened to him between the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. And it's just so buggy and terrible, and like the graphics look like they come from like 2002, like early PlayStation 2 era.
Nice.
The voice acting was terrible. Here, let me look up a good. I saw like a really funny review on Metacritic for it.
Okay, yeah, because the thing is that like the graphics to me aren't a big deterrent, but I just heard that it was like it just missed the mark on every aspect because Lord of the Rings back in the day was like a graphically impressive movie where it used CGI effects to like great extent. So this game doesn't even hold a candle.
So it got a 34 Metacritic score, and that's a combination of all of the outlets, like professional outlets and critics that did, but it got a 1.1 out of 10 user score. 1.1.
1.1.
Yep, that's its user rating. So usually when you go on Metacritic, you got to take it with a grain of salt. But like if it gets a 1.1, if anything gets a 1.1, you should really, really avoid it. This person says, I think Chat GPT would even make a better job than the devs that made this game.
I mean, I'm surprised people haven't done an AI generated version of it to make it look better.
Yeah.
Because, that's I am. The thing is that like games like that seem like they'd be cool. Because I remember, what was the really good Lord of the Rings game? Was it called like Shadow of Mordor, where you play as, like, so you like play as like a crazy guy that could turn like into a ghost, turn into a wraith or something?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the story behind that one.
That game was badass. I loved playing that. I only played a little bit of it. It was on Xbox One, and there was a sequel, I think. But like, I remember playing the original Shadow of Mordor. That was probably the best Lord of the Rings game, and like, it was cool because you'd be like jumping around and playing the game, and it's open world, like, talking Fallout style, or not even Fallout, but like I mean, you're talking like Souls, like Dark Souls, like, and you're talking going around, jumping around the Lord of the Rings world. But then like there'd be this crazy like orc that you'd be fighting, right? And you kill him. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they come back to life, and now they're stalking you with their people, and they become stronger. And every time you kill them, they become stronger. They hunt you down and stuff. And it was one of those things where like it was the better you got, the harder the game got. It was unique. I remember that game. Yeah, this is like, because that's the thing. I'll be able to like relate all these shitty games to like better games that do it better than these shitty ones.
Yeah, and then this one, the one that came out, I don't think it would have been as much of a big deal had it not been on the platform, like an exclusive for the platform that it came out for. Xbox Series X, it's no secret that there's no big list of like exclusives, and Redfall was supposed to be a big one for the Series X, which didn't end up being the case. Let's see. This person says, so he got a Metacritic score of 56 and a user score of 3.5.
And so the game is called what?
Redfall.
And what is Redfall? You have to lay the wallpaper on these games.
Yeah, no
I don't know what they are. I have no clue. Is it like a game that takes place in the fall and the sky's red?
Yeah, so according to SVG.com, Redfall was meant to be the studio's next big hit, and this is Arcane. They made Dishonored and Prey and Deathloop.
Okay, and what type of game is this?
So this
is shooters, an action game, like
the game is set in fictional Massachusetts island town. Takes place shortly after a group of vampires moves in and makes the island their new hunting ground. Players have 4 different characters with varying skill sets to choose from, and they can fight back against the vampires and their loyal cultists in single player or co-op FPS action. So it's supposed to be a first-person shooter.
First-person shooter, and there's multiplayer, kind of like Dead Island. Then
it's supposed to be more of like a looter shooter, like Destiny or something, like Borderlands.
Okay.
Yeah, where there's like a whole lot of like loot drops and whatnot.
Massachusetts vampire. Destiny.
Yeah. So and also according to SVG, I'm just gonna read. They had a good review, and maybe I'll look at a user review too, because those are generally hilarious because they just tell it like it is and they aren't judicious about it. But they say that it's a great premise for a game, but the execution leaves plenty to be desired. The first thing most players would notice of the game is a slew of performance issues. And now in 2023, and I totally get it, like all these studios are under pressure to get these games out as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Have you ever played any game by Bethesda whenever it first comes out?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've played
Bethesda. I don't know how they get away with. Yeah. So
Skyrim.
Yes. Skyrim. They're generally pretty buggy when they come out, especially when it's like a huge open world like Bethesda generally does.
Yeah.
Especially Skyrim. Like it's hugely known for all the bugs and whatnot. But
I'm
then
looking at the box art for Redfall. It just looks bad.
yeah, it looks really generic.
Looks like a budget PS2 title.
Yeah. So it says textures can take upwards of 10 seconds to load in. Many of them are low resolution, even when properly loaded.
Really?
The game is also locked at 30 frames per second of consoles, including the Xbox Series X, which it's built for. Players have complained about in-game assets being reused so frequently it utterly breaks immersion. Ouch.
Damn.
So I wonder what their budget was. Enemy AI leaves a lot to be desired.
It is on sale from $70 right now at GameStop for $17.50.
$17.50
on Xbox Series X. You can buy it right now at GameStop and Best Buy for $17.50.
Ouch. That kind of happened to Cyberpunk also whenever it first came out and it was super buggy and didn't sell. Like it was a fire sale.
Ugh.
Same thing happened to. Do you remember Battleborn? On what generation was that? I think it was Xbox One.
Of it, but I never played it, nor did I have any interest in playing it.
Yeah, Battleborn was a game that came out in the same engine that Borderlands used, but it was supposed to be like a competitive, like Dota style game-ish thing. I don't know. It was kind of a hybrid, but it just wasn't well received because of it came out at the same time as shit. What's that other FPS that was like hugely popular?
I'm letting your old man brain work.
I know, dude. It's grinding to a halt.
This is
my gears, dude.
I don't like these games, dude. This is all.
Oh, it's fine.
I'm like.
People are yelling at me right now, like, you know what it is. Yeah. No, I can't remember, but
Halo.
Anyway, it wasn't well received. the bottom line is that it went on fire sale. I mean, like Target was selling this thing for like $5, and it was a $60 title whenever it released. So, ouch, like ouch.
Yeah.
The same thing sounds like it's happening to Redfall now, according to what you just told me.
$17.
Yeah, $17. Ouch. So it says that players have complained. Yeah. On top of that, enemy AI leaves a lot to be desired, leading to moments where simply standing on the other side of a car can prevent a vampire from being able to actually attack the player.
Pretty realistic. They would not go around the car or go.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Again, like it sounds like it was rushed. And there's no way that the developers didn't know that these issues were out there and that it was going to be this poorly received. Like I feel for them. They're under the pressure, but like at the same time, you know, why did they put out these games time and time again that are just so half baked?
Yeah, it makes no sense for any developer to rush through when they're spending this type of money. Because if you want to get like a unique IP out there, like you got to make it awesome. It has to stand out. And if you make something mid, it's not going to sell well.
Yeah, and Redfall was supposed to be a game that was just like ridiculous and actually be able to sell Xbox Series X's. Whereas like, yeah, they have no exclusives still. I can't think of a game that I'd go out and get just to play on this Xbox Series X. So I can't even remember the last time I even powered it on, you know?
I didn't buy one.
You didn't buy one? Yeah.
No,
I don't know why I bought one, to be honest.
One of the only consoles in any generation that I don't own, and it's an Xbox Series X. Yeah. That's the first one that I haven't bought in years. And it's like, I didn't need it. And I literally saw it today over at the PX when we were going through getting stuff for a Christmas tree. And I was like, oh, look, there's an Xbox Series X on the shelf. I'm good.
Yeah.
It's that and the Oculus that I haven't bought. And I don't really even consider that a thing yet.
The Oculus, yeah.
Not yet.
The last one that I wanted to talk about, and I know this is a pretty underwhelming. So, Mortal Kombat 1.
I'm gonna look it up.
No, Mortal Kombat 1 actually got a lot of hate whenever it came out. It was supposed to be like a really good game, and it's a follow up to a really storied franchise. It's a really polished, beautiful looking game, but it got a lot of hate for how unbalanced it was at release.
Well, it got a lot of hate for the Nintendo Switch port specifically being shitty.
Yes, okay, yeah,
very shitty.
I was getting to that.
Yeah, because Mortal Kombat 1 is a game that I own and played, and I played at launch with my wife.
Did you actually play on Switch?
No, PlayStation 5.
Okay.
We played it on PS5. My wife went through the whole story mode and beat it. And she enjoyed the hell out of it. The story was interesting. I watched the story with her as she would play through it. It was interesting. And she enjoyed it for what it was. Now, as a competitive fighter, that is where people crucified it because super unbalanced, not fun to play online as a competitive multiplayer game.
Exactly.
And ironically is like it didn't start the franchise over. It actually continued the story and got even more convoluted at the end than it was before. It got even more convoluted. Like it was insane. Like you get to the end and like there's multiverses essentially. It went Marvel multiverse style of like Mortal Kombat. It was nuts, dude.
So the user scores are in the like I think it says 7.1. So middling. It's not bad, but it's also not good. It's certainly not what NetherRealm Studios wants.
It's what we would call a C title because 70% is a C.
Yeah,
C minus.
Exactly. And I mean, when you talk about Mortal Kombat, especially like a Mortal Kombat that comes out in 2023, like for them to put out a C title is kind of a failure, right?
Well, and especially when you compare it to Street Fighter 6 that came out, and that game was excellent and addicting, and they did new things with the online, and they made
universally praised. Yeah,
and like that was another one that we bought on PlayStation 5, and I actually got that for myself, and I played the hell out of it for a little bit till it went right into the damn backlog because of no time. But like I enjoyed the hell out of what it was. I just didn't have time to get good on it. Like if I had some time. Wasn't working. Like it'd be great.
Sucker.
It'd be great. That one and like Final Fantasy 16 and a bunch of other ones that we could talk about in the best games of 2023 and how we're playing them. But yeah, Mortal Kombat 1 though was a cool one that I actually played, but it's definitely not on my best games list either.
So speaking of best games of 2023. And we're not going to talk about that this week. Obviously, you said you wanted to talk about that next week.
Well, and there's the worst game of 2023 that you didn't talk about yet, too.
Oh, which one? What did I forget?
Kong Skull Island, Tristan. What the hell are you doing here? That game was like the worst game of the year that everybody talked about. They said it's garbage. It's really bad. What is the Metacritic score on?
I'm looking at the wrong one. Rise of Kong. Skull Island, Rise of Kong. So there was a Kong Skull Island. Oh yeah, that's the movie. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one.
That's the movie, Tristan.
Yeah, so it got a Metacritic score of 23.
Yeah.
And a user score of 3.6.
Yeah.
So I'm not familiar with this one actually. I remember it coming out, but I don't remember the hate.
It came out, everybody universally hated it, said it was the worst thing that they've ever played buggy.
PC Gamer says the game barely qualifies as playable given its myriad of technical issues, but even when it's working as intended, you wish that it wasn't.
Like this game, when it was released, reminded me of the Nintendo Switch Year 1 and Troll and I. When Troll and I was released on Switch, that game was one of the worst. And that's what this is. This is the Troll and I of 2023. It's like, it's one of those that's so bad it might be decent and funny to play.
Game Reactor UK says it's simply impossible to find a single part of Skull Island Rise of Kong that doesn't border on record breaking, which is why I'm forced to hand out our very lowest rating. This is by far the worst game of the year without any doubt whatsoever.
That's what I'm saying. If we didn't talk about Kong Rise of Skull, like there's no way.
I'm glad you brought it up.
People would have commented. That was was a bad one, dude. Like it's just so bad.
So one thing that I want to do next week is when we're talking about our favorite games or the best games of 2023. I want also us to bring up our two of our favorite games of 2023, if those don't land in the list that we talk about now. With the premise that I'm going to look on Metacritic for a negative user score for one of your favorite games, and you have to defend or agree with that review.
Nice. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be a cool one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I bet people are gonna trash stuff. It's gonna be
I mean, we could do that for this, but there's no defending these games, right?
No. And a lot of them I don't even know about them. That's the bad Redfall. I never even heard of that.
Yeah, Redfall was like hyped up big time. And the expectation that it was going to be a good game for the Xbox Series X, which has been so beleaguered, made it even worse. Yeah.
I feel bad. For the developers though, because there's a lot of people that put time into stuff.
Yeah, dude. They have good intentions. They're human.
A lot of the times too, it's like people above them, they're like, push it out. Like, but it's not ready. Push it out. And it's
dude.
like, oh man, that sucks.
It's crazy.
That sucks. But yeah, so we do have our game of the episode, Tristan.
Yes.
Save me, Mr. Tako. And I will lay the bullshit wallpaper. All right. So we were talking about Save Me, Mr. Tako, the definitive edition. So according to Steam description, dive into a great adventure in the Game Boy era. In a world where humans and octopuses are at war, Tako is a pacifist little octopus who rescues a woman from drowning one stormy night. A fairy sees this act of bravery and grants him the ability to survive on land. As he travels across the world, Tako defies his family and his people to try to resolve conflicts between the humans and the octopuses, plunging him into the very roots of this dysfunctional world. And so the features on here, 6 worlds, more than 50 levels to explore, and about 15 hours of content, believe it or not.
Crazy.
50 different hats that you can wear that grant you different special abilities. Extensive character dialogue and unique, memorable NPCs. Side quest, puzzles, minigames, 16 different dungeons to explore, and multiple selectable palettes that you can do. You use the LNR on there. The definitive edition adds in new difficulty modes and rebalances the original game. There's a hint system, auto palette option that offers a more quality of life. So the palette actually changes as you play the different levels from level to level. A sound system to listen to the soundtrack composed by the Marc Antoine Archier, who is the composer, and new border images and additional content. And then it shows the guy doing a headbanging octopus here.
I love it.
On it in a GIF.
Good old Tako.
Yeah. So just the very generality, the first time you play this, I consider this like the Kirby style Game Boy platformer. 100%.
You can't play this game without thinking Kirby. It's impossible.
And I mean Game Boy, Kirby's Dream Land, Kirby's Dream Land 2.
That's right.
Because all the hats are like your power-ups for Kirby. And what it does is it gives Tako, so that normally he shoots little inkies. But then you'll get another hat that lets him shoot an arrow. And then you'll get one that allows him to bounce balls.
Or fire a whip.
The latest one I got was a parasol. So that was about how far I got. And I'm not far in the game at all, mind you. I've played a little bit. How much have you played, Tristan?
I played, it must have been about like 2 hours. Okay. I didn't know it was a 15-hour game. I thought I was pretty far along, but apparently not.
Me too. So I think I got past the witch. The witch does a boss with a big plant boss, and that's like level 15, I want to say. Let me look. Yeah, level 15 on the map.
I didn't get much further than that.
But it wasn't
So
15 levels because there's a bunch of little levels in between. So like the witches level is not a numbered level, but then on the overworld it'll have 15. And now it's like the war is happening and I'm in number 16. And I haven't started 16. But it's freaking awesome. The game's great.
Oh no, it's amazing. And right now, my gosh, it's on sale for like $7 on the eShop.
Oh geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have it on physical from, I think it was limited run, did the physical back in the day. I have it here. So I wrote down in my notes, I wrote down cute platformer, octopus that shoots ink with a meter that recharges, so you can get the little inky things. Graphics are Game Boy. It wants you to like collect little inky things and little gems and rupees and stuff. And those will allow you to unlock and buy things later. But if you run through the levels, it's super, super short. Like you can get through a level in like a minute or two if you just go from point A to point B and don't go hunting for all the stuff. Because later on, you also can like unlock and rescue girls and stuff in the levels too. One hat that I had gave me an extra heart, one-shot arrows, like we said. There's 50 to unlock though, which is crazy, man.
I can't believe that. Like, holy crap, 50?
Yeah, 50. I mean, I've gotten what, 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Like I bet there's hidden ones. I bet there's secrets. I wrote down the levels are laid out like Kirby, but there's also towns, stories, and quests. There was one
dialogue and everything. Yeah.
There was like a maze and it shoots them around like the barrels from Donkey Kong Country. A little like I think there were like little flowers that shot you, which was really cool. But if you're not collecting, it's super short. I just think it's like, man, it's like Kirby with no limitations. Game Boy Kirby with no limitations. Like it's like insane.
Yeah, with a deeper story too. Like I mean, the dialogue, it sets the scene. Where when you play Kirby, you're just Kirby and you're eating stuff and getting power-ups and you're just in that land, and like you got to kind of fill in the gaps. This one actually kind of fully fleshes out the story for you. Super cute, man. It's cute. I love the music is awesome. It's so like on point with the game, and it's not like okay.
It has like Metroidvania aspects to it too, because if you think about it, like there are spots where you'll see these little walls and you got to like burn them. You mentioned a flame whip. I don't have a flame whip yet, so I assume that maybe that burns the wood.
Yeah. So you get the hats, the abilities, and then you go back to the certain stages and can actually unlock that stuff. Yeah.
Now, did I write down those stages that I missed? No. Is there an indicator that where they are? No. So I would have to follow a guide at this point if I wanted to go back and unlock the stuff that I forgot about, or go through every level again.
Now, you said Limited Run put it out. Did they do a manual or a guide with it?
I think there is a guide in there. I want to say there is.
Pleasantly surprised.
Don't quote me on it, but I was pretty sure that was back. Now, it could be one of those that was like a 4-page fold out the page once manual too, because I remember a few of those that came out during that era too. But I think this one was an old school Game Boy style manual. I think it was. Okay. Because this is one that I would 100% released. I remember too, this one had some controversy because I think it was the original Save Me Mr. Tako. Like there was some issue with it with whomever was releasing it. And then they did the definitive edition and went with limited run for the final release. There was some kind of, controversy with the original version. I remember back in the day. I don't remember all the details. I just remember that there was a controversy, and this version is what they wanted out there. This is the perfect version of the game. I think it's amazing.
It's awesome. It's so good.
Now, the question will be, before we give it a grade, will you keep playing it in the backlog, or does it go off to the far off backlog to the days of future past when we have infinite time?
I did a little bit of reading about it before I started playing it, and apparently there are other playable characters which I haven't run into yet. Yeah, exactly. So I want to see that.
Yeah.
I want to at least see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So my answer to it is a little different because it's shorter play spans like Kirby. I actually enjoyed, and I played it a few different times where I just play a level or two. You can play a lever or two and then just save and quit. Or back out. So that's I do feel like this is in my immediate backlog. This is going to be one that I'm going to sit there and continually nug away at and see how I do. And I'll update if I get to play in it. Like you can ask me like on a future episode. Like next episode you can ask me like, hey, where you at on Tako? And I'll be like, oh, I haven't played it, or I have. Because it's just going to stay in my Switch until something else takes the cartridge out and I put something else in. So right now, there's nothing on the horizon that I have to buy for Switch. So I think that's going to be in my Switch for a while. Maybe unless I go back to RPG Time, because that one also is in my immediate backlog.
I can't wait for mine to ship.
Yeah.
Come on, awesome. Play Asia.
Fun one. We haven't even made that one official bullshit yet. I just talked about it. But yeah. So what grade would you give the Tako?
B+, solid B+. I don't think it's an A territory for me, but yeah.
So right now, only a couple hours in, I'm with you. I'm at the B+, but I could be sold at the A- if it expands and gets better.
I agree.
Because right now the levels don't have enough meat to them for me. Like they're like I could literally go through, not collect anything. I don't really feel like I'm missing much. And like I'll like my mentality is if I put this in my immediate backlog, I'm going to continue getting through the levels as fast as I can. And then if there's like a specific ability I need, maybe I'll look it up online and see how to unlock it and then go back to those specific levels.
Yeah.
Like that's about it. Like maybe if I want to get all the hats or something, maybe I'll figure that out. But right now there wasn't enough to get me to go around and just collect all the gems and stuff. It's just like I didn't see any reason to do it. There's not like extra lives or anything crazy. So yeah. So it's I'd say it's a solid B+. That's awesome. And very, very interesting. By the way, talking about old bullshit homework before we get to what the next game, if you want to go retro randomizer, mind you, unless you got something for us.
Nope.
But did you play any of the new game plus of Super Mario RPG? The after game.
I can't remember if we actually discussed on the podcast about how I found out that there was one.
Yes, we talked about that.
Did
you go back and play any since we were
I haven't yet. I'm savoring it right now. Like I want to, but I don't want to play it because then it'll be over.
I did, and there's a reason why I'm done.
Yeah.
So, I went and you follow the hints, and it'll send you to Star Road, and then it sends you back to Mr. Frog, our Frogman in the tadpole pond. You go talk to him. He goes, "Oh, you got to go fight, one of the end bosses, which is I think it's Bellamy, Bellamy, and you go fight him." So I fought him, and it's like super boss. And it took me an hour fighting him.
Love it.
And I ended up beating him. And it gave me a super weapon for Mallow. Like an upgraded weapon. One beyond what the game one is. And it's like a new stick. And then you go back to Frog Fuchs or whatever his name is. And you go back to him. And he says, "Oh, the bomb maker guy." So you go back to our bomb buddy.
Oh, Punchinello, yeah.
Punchinello. And you do like 1 damage to him, and he has 1,200 HP.
Oh, gosh.
So apparently it's going to be a long, drawn-out battle. There's probably ways to shave off more. From what I'm tracking, I think you have to hit the bombs back at him, and then it hits him. But I do too much damage and I kill the bombs. So, and each bomb does enough damage to where if you don't perfectly time it, it kills your party.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah. So and you have to do it fast because they move really quick at you. Like they're like, so I was able to block 1 of the 3 and it killed 2 of my party members. And I'm like, all right, and it's going to be a long drawn out battle of perfect timing. So I am not going to be trying to learn that whole timing based thing. Like it turned into something that wasn't going to be fun for me.
Yeah.
And I think that many more battles until then, because I think after him, then you actually fight Booster in the train, and then there'll be another one and another one.
Which is awesome because Booster was never an enemy that you fought.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
But I don't think I'm going to be able to beat Punchinello, and I'm at level. It's recommended level 25. I'm at level 27 or something, and it's not going to be it, man.
Yeah, it's on my backlog. It's on my immediate backlog.
Nope, I don't. I think I'll watch a YouTube video that one, and I'll be fine.
I just want to say that I want to be able to say that I beat 3D QLX.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like,
I'm just
so cool.
Not super. Yeah, it kind of demotivated me jumping through that, man. All right, so you ready for some retro randomizer?
Yes, let's see if we get some more anime chicks.
Anime porn
not
games.
safe for work. Anime porn games.
Are we going regular or budget?
Regular.
All right. A game called Lost Epic popped up. Let's look it up and we will decide. It's about a 9-hour main story according to it.
Okay.
Lost Epic. And so we're both going to look it up now just so we can pick a game.
Yeah.
Lost. Oh, the music popped on now. It is $18 on Steam. It is a 2D side-scrolling action RPG about a war between gods and humanity. The player becomes the deity-defying knight god slayer and explores the world as Sanctum to bring the Pantheon of Six to their knees. And the game looks like it's like a artistic drawn action platformer. It looks like it has some Souls-like Metroidvania vibes.
It does. I'm kind of digging it so far. Although,
and there's apparently online co-op.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here. It's like a weird co-op.
Yeah.
And the art style kind of reminds me of the Vanillaware games, to be honest.
It does. That little music in the background is coming from the Steam Deck because one of the things I have on here is you can play music on the background. So to complete the game from a completionist perspective, though, How Long to Beat does have it at 35 hours, but you can get through the story in 9 hours.
Okay.
The art looks cool.
Yeah.
There's a voice cast. Developer is Team Earth Wars. This is chill. Has a lot of good recommendations.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah, I would say you want to. Should we do a little bit of Lost Epic? Give it a
let's do Lost Epic.
A whirl. Lost Epic. It's got a good rating as well. It was released in July 27th of 2022.
All right, pretty new too.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over here and put this sucker into my favorites, so that way I got it.
I will go on Steam right now, so I don't forget.
It's a little bit. Now the question is Lost Epic also available? Like, is it available physically?
Oh yeah.
And most of these are not. Most of these games are not available physically, but when I add them and when I get them on Steam, I'm not typically I'm not following up after I do it. So I'll add it. It doesn't look like it's available yet. There is a Lost Epic, though, premium edition. It shows right here.
No, come on.
It says Switch eShop 2023 Lost Epic Premium Edition. It's like we need to release it for premium edition games.
What the world?
The game's great, and then maybe we do the premium edition with premium edition games. That'd be pretty awesome.
Funny.
I wonder if it's a Metroid. Do they consider it a Metroidvania?
Yeah, you can put it in your Chronicles.
Well, I still can, even if it's not a traditional Metroidvania. It is listed though in a r/Metroidvania. So I think that it does. It's a Metroidvania Souls Light is what people are calling it. Okay. So there's a section in the Metroidvania Chronicles that does have the non-traditional Metroidvania games. So a roguelike, a Souls-like. So I'd say Lost Epic will make it. So maybe this will go in phase 2 of the Metroidvania Chronicles. We'll see, Tristan. But to me, this one looks like a cool one. It
freaking premium edition. That's funny.
That's the thing when people like, they're we call the company's premium edition games, and now people have a premium edition. It's like, well, is premium edition games running it? Maybe we are.
Nope. Yeah.
Not yet. Maybe Tristan. So I think it's time to put a bow on the episode. So it was Saving Mr. Tako, solid B+ game. We definitely had some crappy games that we talked about, with Mortal Kombat 1 being the one I remember because I actually played it, and it wasn't as bad as people make it out to be. It was fun. But as you said, not at the level of what we expected from the franchise.
No.
Arcade 1-ups are cool for people that aren't hipster gamers like us. But but I do appreciate the non-traditional, like the cocktail that I got for Black Friday, which is pretty awesome. It'll be fun during my travels. And then once I get to my final game room, we'll make a decision on it. Yeah. And then everybody should play, Lost Epic with us, the Metroidvania Souls-like action RPG that we will be talking about next episode. As bullshit lives, Tristan. Bullshit lives. Yeah. So make sure you check out the Metroidvania Chronicles on Kickstarter. It's 100% funded, and we just released Phil Summers' slipcase. We revealed what the art is. It's a tribute to classic Capcom with a white background with all the characters within phase 1 of the Metroidvania Chronicles, like moving to the side. Looks amazing. We are doing a limited amount of them. We won't be reprinting the slipcase once we do the print run. Typically it's only 100 or so of them that we'll make total, and it'll be a fun thing. And then we'll continue going with the Metroidvania Chronicles in the future. Whether we go to, Patreon or we continue with the Kickstarter model, it really is up to the fan base and the readers on what they would like to support. But one other thing that I did want to mention is, if you're not aware, Tristan does write in Old School Gamer magazine. And I did just get the newest issue, and he has this badass heavy hitters article that he does. It's the heavy hitters in all the consoles. And I didn't want to mention it last time because that issue had some clarity issues with it.
Yes.
This one, it looks freaking awesome. It's immaculate.
Good.
It amazing.
Thank goodness. Amazing. My gosh.
And it literally is all the heavy hitters for all the consoles and what they're currently going for. And it's a really cool, where we are. And Tristan did interview yours truly for the magazine as well. And
sure did.
Now it's your fault that London has a big head and feels like she's a big shot because she's in the magazine.
I hope they corrected that she's not your son and that she's your daughter in that. Have you not looked?
I'll let you know.
I hope they better have. I told them to correct it 3 times. So if it's wrong, it's not my fault.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But no, it was a fun interview, and I went deep down the rabbit hole that you had to pare down.
I did have to pare it down a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And then there was did you see how much extra space there was too? What the crap, guys?
Yeah, you didn't have to pare down that much.
Whatever. Well, if Bill's watching this, hey Bill, I love you, but you're confusing sometimes.
Bill Donahue, right?
Yes.
You do know that he's a classic that was the editor of PSM back in the day.
No.
Yes. Oh yeah. I had drinks with Bill at a convention. When he came on board of Old School Gamer, I was like, dude, so you did all the editing for PSM because his crazy face was in there. His crazy, because he looks like a damn cartoon character. If you look at
now that
picture,
I know the pedigree, I'm just going to bow down and do what he says.
Not saying that he's right, because he's 100% like he needs to do a little bit better on his editing layout work. However,
yeah, there's you should have seen how much I caught. Like I was the last line of defense for this this issue, and I caught so much stuff that was wrong, dude.
he's an old man. Be nice.
Yeah, that's all good. Love you, Bill.
Yeah, but I was shooting the shit with Bill. I think it was at El Paso a year ago at Classic Game Fest. I think that's where I talked with him and Ryan Berger, and they were trying to bring me on board, and I was like, well, dude, like I just started this game company. I ain't got time for that. And as things progress, I told them that I may carve out some time in the future. Maybe we'll see. Right now, I lots of books and lots of games to do, and it's been fun. And maybe if the Army ever lets me retire, Tristan, that's a story.
Yeah, if they let you. Yeah,
that's a story for another time, because we had some news this last week.
Yes, you did.
So we shall see how how everything turns out. But Bill is old school PSM all the way from issue 1.
Did not know that.
Oh yeah, and he was before that too. Like he was in a lot of old school magazines. That's where I'm like, dude, when they brought him on, I'm like,
that's cool.
Maybe I joined just to have fun with Crazy Bill.
Yeah.
No, that makes Old School Gamer a fun one. It's super freaking old school though, dude.
Yeah.
It's super old school. And it's a cool magazine that's ongoing. I feel like that is the old man's book right now. I feel like it's even better than Retro Gamer at this point, because it's just Retro Gamer doesn't do anything outside of the norm for me as a US gamer, because it has a lot of European aesthetics, whereas Old School Gamer goes a little older than I would like, because it goes a little bit before the Nintendo time. But then they have on somebody like Tristan who comes on, and now he brings my era, so I'm good. I can read.
Sure, yeah, and to your point about them being based out of the UK. Like they'll have articles on like Retro Gamer out of the UK. They'll have like articles on the Dragon 64 or the Acorn. I don't care. So it's just not the stuff that we grew up with.
The PC scene was not a big thing here after the Commodore 64. It really wasn't a big thing until we got to Windows machines and personal computing and like Doom. Like once that hit, that got us.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I love the ZX Spectrum, but not a whole lot of people do over here. So
ZX Spectrum.
Yeah,
Tristan.
the ZX.
I don't need hate
ZX
mail
Spectrum.
because it's.
I invite it. They can keep their Zs and their H's.
ZX Spectrum. Honestly, like I no love for the ZX Spectrum. I've tried playing them and they're okay. Yeah. They're fun. I do like what the artists do with the graphical capabilities. It's like Game Boy stuff. Turned up to another level. Game Boy style limitations. I do feel like that's kind of cool, but I got no nostalgia for it. So when I play newer stuff, I'm like, it's cool. I'd rather play NES with that limitation because that's what I grew up on. And Game Boy, like save me Mr. Tako. Put a bow on it.
Yeah, man.
All right. We appreciate you all for listening, and welcome to season 6. We will see you all next time.
Later, guys.